In this tutorial, I'm going to use this texture to map it around an oil barrel. Let's look at this oil barrel model. It's a polygon model, and this has two. It consists of two components: the barrel body, and then the lid. In Maya, I'm just gonna bring the image now as a file, a texture file on a material. First, we need to choose a material for this barrel, and I'll choose a metallic one that gives me a little bit of reflectivity. I'm gonna go ahead and assign a new material, and this time I'm gonna use a Maya material. Phong would be a good one for that. I'm gonna take the reflectivity down a bit. These settings we can change later, of course, but I'm just gonna take the change a couple of things so it's not as reflective here. It's more subtle. And here's the color. And we don't want to use a color here. We want to replace the color with a texture map. So we are using a bitmap. To use a bitmap from our folders, we have to go to the browser and pick a file. So here's the file, the texture file. That takes us to this other window that we can actually load it. So we go to the browser, and here's the texture unedited. I downloaded it as is, as a JPEG from online, and I'm gonna open that. Of course, it looks really, it maps around this object really randomly, so we don't want that. So how do we wrap it around this cylindrical piece? So we have, again, we've talked about UVs, and we have a couple of ways to wrap it around different types of objects. We can use a cylindrical map. Now, using a cylindrical map, obviously we're not going to use the entire barrel. We're going to only use the body, the piece of the area of the body that is more like a cylinder, but not the top or bottom parts. It's easier for me to select stuff when I don't see the texture, so I'm just gonna go back to the shaded mode by pressing 5, and I'm gonna hold down the space bar and click on the Maya and go to my right view. So I'm switching to my right view, get rid of the grid, and I do want to select only the faces that are that compose the cylinder. So I'm gonna select the face and try to get only the faces that and avoid the top. Well, the thing is, now we can't avoid that. I'm just gonna go ahead and do another selection, because the top and the bottom are sort of inside and a lower height from this, so they were accidentally selected. Let's see if I select that. I'm still selecting the bottom, so I'm just gonna go back to my right view and select this piece. Okay, so now I'm gonna actually start adding some selections. So if I hold down the shift key and click on this face, and then click on the end face, so that's like the end of the loop, so, and double click that, it will start a loop. And I'm gonna include a couple of more, maybe up to here. That would be fine. And then do the same for the bottom part. Not this. Maybe all the way to here. So we have all these pieces. Now, if I press 6, I'm going to go back to texture. What we have is the texture is already on the barrel body, but we need to map it on this selected region. So we can go ahead and use the cylindrical map. Now this looks kind of crazy right now. Like it's definitely out of shape, out of proportions. So we need to put it together. I'm going to first wrap it all around. I lost the selection, so I'm going to press Z to retrieve it. Wrap it all around until it touches these two red boxes touch and then that's where it actually wraps the entire image around the cylinder. Of course, this black line is not a problem here in Maya. It's basically the material. The texture itself, if you notice, has it has this kind of black frame around it. So we should be, to eliminate that, we should go to Photoshop and just cut these areas, crop the image. So I'm gonna go back to Maya and change the proportions. So I'm gonna go up to select this scale tool and stretch this image up and move this down. So this here moves the image. It's a placement node, and this will scale the image so that, you know, looks like kind of, yeah, we just want to make this look like square. So this looks kind of okay here, and I'm gonna place it. Now I have a different placement too. Instead of like using this button, I can go and use you know, see, this is the whole cylindrical node. You know, you can actually use either of these scale tools, the upper or the up or the down. It's the same thing. This is again a sort of a rotational placement tool. Sorry, that's actually a tiling tool. This is the one that it will wrap around, and this is the scale one, and this is the placement. Again, if I want to place it in a different way, I could go to this area here all the way down. There's this little red lines, and I can click on them, and what they do is, instead of using all the placement nodes, I have a gizmo that I can actually use to move this thing around, and I can initiate the rotation tool and just move it around. So now I can select where I want the logo to be. So probably around here. And it's the same thing. I can use the scale tool. It's a little hard to get. I can use the move tool. So sort of like a similar way. Now, in this case, you want to take your time to see how you can wrap this around. That could be, this is a little stretched. Let's see those, I'm trying to line up these things together here. Like, see, those lines are supposed to be, of course it's not going to line up because the design of our barrel is different from the texture that we found. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like this. We can go and repair it later. So obviously we are, you know, these should line up. I mean, we could do it, and then for the purposes of, you know, just lining up something here, I'm gonna press Control A to go to the channel box. So here I aborted my my placement tool, so I'm gonna go and select the barrel and go back to my history on the channel box and use you see here it's like polycylinder projection. So I can click on that and press T. Actually, you know, go here and press T, and now I have my placement tool again. I can go ahead and sort of scale it down. Of course, I'm gonna have some issues here. I'm just gonna take this down here, scale it up. Let's leave it like that, and even if it's squashed, at least we get these lined up with the geometry. Now what we need to do is to map the top and the bottom. So we're gonna do that in the next lesson.